and they're flying out tomorrow. So it's great to have an opportunity to talk with you all. I own Platform Sports Management. In a nutshell, what we do is we help athletes secure sports scholarships within the American college system. The presentation today is just going to take you guys through on how the college system works, how scholarships work in the US, what the academic requirements are, what levels you can play in the US as well, and then I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions that parents often ask me. This isn't a sales pitch at all. If you do want to talk further about how we actually help athletes go to the US, we can chat afterwards, or we do free consultations and we can schedule those, no problem at all. But I won't keep you guys too long. So a bit about me. So from New Zealand, grew up in a big sporting family. My dad's a professional tennis coach. My little brother, he's #1 tennis pro in New Zealand at the moment, and so sport was definitely in my blood growing up. The reason why I started Platform Sports in 2014, which is when I was 22 years old, was because there was no one in New Zealand actively helping athletes go to the US. You kind of had to be handpicked from colleges, and that's how you get recruited. So I thought, well, why don't I build a company that I would have liked to have used? And so I founded Platform Sports at the end of 2014. In the last 8 years, I've placed about 300 athletes in college. I work with a lot of soccer athletes at all levels. We work in 13 different countries as well. I am the 100% owner. I've got a staff of about 15 people that work with me. And yeah, we work with athletes that have only been playing the sport for 3 years, and also I've got athletes that are representing countries like the New Zealand Ferns or under 22, all white side, etc., etc. So we've been brought in just to educate you guys a little bit about the college system. And if you've got any questions, feel free to put your hand up and I'll answer them. But in a nutshell, we prepare athletes, we place athletes, and then we also look after them in college. The run sheet of today is I'm going to go into the introduction of what the college system actually is, the different sporting associations that you need to know about, the academic requirements, scholarship information, and frequently asked questions. I believe this is being recorded, so you can get a copy of it at the end or at another time next week when it's all ready to go. And also I can email you guys this presentation as well if you want to re-look at some of the slides. So what is the college system? It's when you finish high school, go to American university, and you get to compete for a college, and you're using your sport as a vehicle to cover a large portion of the cost while you're at university, and after 4 years you're walking out with a degree in the States. In America, there's just over 3,000 universities, and there's 3 different sporting associations that govern different groups of those 3,000 universities. The first one we're going to touch on is called the NCAA, known as the National Collegiate Athletic Association. They're the largest sporting association and look after the most colleges in America. They look after just over 1,200 universities. They distribute about $1 billion in scholarship and sport funding amongst those 1,200 universities. There's 3 different sporting divisions, and it's heavily utilized by a lot of athletes, especially those athletes that want to go professional once they leave the college system after 4 years. So we've got an athlete right now, Ronan Wynn. He just played for the under 22 New Zealand side against China on the weekend. He's about to go into the MLS draft, and he's at the University of Denver. So you'll find that a lot of the athletes that go pro use the NCAA because there's a lot more exposure for them into these professional environments. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's start with Division 1 in the NCAA. So for a university to be a Division 1 sporting member, the university just needs to finance at least 7 men's sports and 7 women's sports. It's purely based on size. Division 1 colleges are the largest universities in the American college system. They've got between 15,000 up to 60,000 students on campus. Now, one of our girls, her name's Hannah Blake, she's now playing professionally in Perth. Originally from New Zealand, she went to a university called University of Michigan. The American football stadium at that university seats about 110,000 people, and this is athletes competing in front of these crowds aged between 18 and 22 years old. So that's at the extreme end. So some of these universities in the States are the size of like a small town, like Spartanburg, which is a small town in South Carolina. It's got 50,000 people in their town, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of the bigger schools, like the Ivy Leagues, the UCLAs, the San Diego State, Auburn, Texas, etc. They all fall within Division 1, and there are incredible resources at these universities. I've had the opportunity to go to some of these colleges in the States in the last 8 years, and I visited one of my goalkeepers. His name's Elliot Munford. He was at a university called Seton Hall University. Now, Seton Hall University is a smaller Division I school. They might only have like 7,000 students, but their basketball team is honestly insane. And because their basketball team does so well, they can afford to finance 7 men's sports and 7 women's sports. This university is, I don't know if you guys have been to Manhattan before, but there's Madison Square Garden, next to it is Penn Station. You jump into Penn Station, you take a train for about 25 minutes and you pop out at this university. When I rocked up to this college, pretty much every Division I university has got a big sporting facility on campus that only student athletes get access to that are on scholarship. In this facility, you swipe in, so at first the receptionist didn't let me in, but after like saying I've come all the way from New Zealand, they kind of let me in. It was kind of like this, like protein fridges or Gatorade fridges located all around the complex. There was a strength and conditioning gym, there was a physio room with about 10 beds. A physio was always there for athletes. There was a library only for athletes on scholarship. There were academic tutors available. They had ice baths. They had a gear room that was sponsored by Under Armour, so you could go in and get a new pair of boots if you wanted to, which is quite cool. They had a media room, so they had a big screen with Lazy Boys 10 all the way down. The golfers in there had like an indoor putting green or like an indoor golf simulator. There was a swimming pool inside, I remember. It wasn't too big, but it had a treadmill at the bottom of it, like non-impact recovery stuff. So it had all the bells and whistles. This is what the athletes were getting access to. Now, the gym was huge. It was like Anytime Fitness gym, but there was a couple of rules in the gym. You're not allowed headphones, you're not allowed to joke around, and there was always a strength and conditioning coach always there, available to help athletes, and they had a monitor on the wall that had all the athletes' training programs. You can log in and see what you're doing, and there was a tablet playing for you as well, which was quite good. But what I was really impressed about was the academic support stuff. A lot of tutors available there for you to help you catch up with assignments and stuff. That's kind of what you get at Division I universities, and that's what a lot of these athletes they use in the college system to get bigger, faster, stronger, with great technology and resources there for you, whilst also getting a really good education. Division II colleges are a little bit smaller, so for a university to be a Division II member, one of the requirements is they need to finance at least 5 men's sports and 5 women's sports. I've got between 5,000 and 15,000 students, so slightly smaller classroom sizes compared to the bigger universities that might have 200 students for one professor in a big lecture room. There's still some amazing athletes that come out of Division II colleges, and there are some fantastic resources as well. Now, some students might have a decision to make when they're looking at Division II colleges and Division I colleges. We've actually got an example for that. So we've got this left wing back called Max Winter. Max is from New Zealand. He had to choose between Palm Beach Atlantic University, which is on Billionaire Mile. David Beckham's son was married just up the road from it. It's an incredible facility in Florida versus Division I college that's located in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. He chose a Division II school because it had better lifestyle, it had great academic opportunities and a higher level as well. And buying a school in the States is like trying to buy a house. Everyone wants the best house on the best street. So even though it's Division II doesn't mean it's lesser of a level, it's still very strong. It's just a smaller college. So definitely keep them in mind if you're looking at this at the college system for yourself. Division III colleges are the smallest universities in the NCAA. So for a Division III university to become a member here, they need to finance at least 3 sports on the men's side and women's side. The biggest difference between Division III and Division II and Division I is Division I and II offer sports scholarships and academic scholarships. Division III colleges do not provide any sports scholarships at all, only academic scholarships. Now, the biggest take-home message today, Division I, II, III, is based on the size of the school, not on the sporting ability or the academic ability of the college. It's really important to know that. MIT, Johns Hopkins, NYU, they're all Division III colleges, and they're better than most Division II academic schools, but they're in Division III. The national champions for men's soccer in Division II beat the national champions for Division I in pre-season recently, 2-0. So keep it in mind that these colleges can cater for different things. So find out what you're really looking for out of your college experience. So it's based on what you want to do academically, where you want to learn, what your priorities are soccer-wise, and how you rank those up, and then kind of look at the college system from that perspective. So that covers the NCAA. So 3 sporting associations, 1,200 colleges, heavily utilized by a lot of athletes. Now, as mentioned, there's over 3,000 universities, so who looks after the rest? The NAIA system is another sporting association that looks after 4-year universities. but operate on a bit of a smaller scale. They only look after 250 universities. They've only got 2 divisions compared to 3, but for soccer in the US, there's only 1 division. 2 divisions apply to basketball and American football. There's about 60,000 students that compete in the NAIA annually. There's less academic requirements to get into the NAIA scoring system, and roughly on campus, a lot of the students, there's about 15,000 is on the higher end, and 1,500 is quite common at NAIA universities. So kind of think about a Division III size school, but with more scholarships available for student athletes, but less academic requirements to get into the system. So these 2 sporting associations with the X on it, they look after 4-year universities, like one university for example. The middle one, the NJCAA, that's completely different, it's super unique. This is a sporting association that looks after 2-year community colleges. So the reason why you might go to a community college is maybe you don't get into a 4-year university academically, or maybe you don't get the right scholarship that you're requiring to go and study in America. So the 4-year universities, the NCAA on the far left, and the NAIA system, being a 4-year college, they're usually about $40,000 to $60,000 US per year without scholarship. So if your soccer level isn't earning you a substantial, if your soccer level is not earning you a substantial soccer scholarship, or your academics is not high enough to earn you academic scholarship, and you can't afford to pay that $40,000 to $60,000, you might look at a junior college system. So a junior college only costs around $20,000 US on average without a scholarship. You attend this system for 2 years only. Let's say you want to do a business degree at university. So what you'll do at a junior college is you'll do a diploma in business. Once you get your diploma, you can then cross-credit all of your credits from your 2-year college to a 4-year school like UCLA, but you don't have to repeat any years. You just literally do 2 years here, 2 years at UCLA, and you've got your degree, your business degree from UCLA. Now, if you satisfy academic requirements with the NCAA when you're in high school before you go to America, and you're actually good enough to get into academically into 4-year schools like UCLA, sometimes you only have to do 1 year here, and then you can cross-credit everything over. So our water polo recruiter that works with me, his name's Settler, he went to a junior college called West Valley in California. The reason why he went to this junior college was because his water polo level as an athlete wasn't securing him a big-time scholarship at a 4-year school. So he thought, I'm going to go to junior college, I'm going to use it to get exposure of these 4-year schools because I'm in the States competing, and I'm getting to talk to these college coaches while I'm over there as well. I'm going to develop as an athlete, and at the end of my freshman year, I'm going to use my improved CV to get a better deal at a different school. So he went to West Valley, which is a junior college in California, and his final 3 years he went to Cal Berkeley, and that's where he graduated from. So you can use it to your advantage. The level athletically is still quite high. There's athletes like Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat NBA champion, NBA superstar I should say, he went to a junior college as well. So it is heavily utilized. If you want to learn more about this, on Netflix there's a documentary called Last Chance U. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. But junior colleges, there's less academic requirements to get into it. There's a lot of junior colleges, around 500 in the US. There's scholarship funding provided. There's not much academic scholarships, mainly sports scholarships. So on average, athletes might be paying about $8,000 or $7,000 per year at one of these schools, and that covers your tuition, accommodation, and food, and all the sporting expenses for 10 months. Versus if you're on a partial scholarship at a 4-year school, for the same thing, your tuition, accommodation, your food, your sporting expenses, you might be paying $15,000 to $20,000 annually. So some people might say, I'm going to go here for 1 year, get my CV up, and then go again later on. So it's just another avenue. If you don't meet academic requirements, or you don't get the scholarship funding that you want. So before we go into the academic requirements for the NCAA and the NAIA system and the junior college system, 2 different things that you guys need to know. First of all, a grade point average. It's a scale that the Americans use to gauge what level a student is in high school academically. So the higher you are, the better student you are. Now, I know in Australia, it's a bit different to New Zealand. You guys got different schooling systems based on the states here. So what I suggest you do is online, if you go Queensland GPA converted to US system, there's 4 different links that comes up right away, and you can punch in your school grades from grade 9 all the way through to current, whether you're in year 11 or year 12, and it'll tell you what kind of GPA that you got. If you are sitting above a B, like a 3.0 or higher, not only are you going to be sweet getting into most universities in the state, but you're knocking on the door of academic scholarships as well. I will tell you guys what kind of GPAs earn you different types of scholarships shortly, but this is one term that you need to know. The next one is the SAT, the Standard Aptitude Test. It's a test that Americans used to do in order to get an entrance into 4-year universities in America. I use that word used to because it's actually been waived as a compulsory requirement now. Mainly due to social distancing stuff when COVID was here, they couldn't do the test, they couldn't run the test. So a lot of the Ivy League schools, the UC schools like UC Irvine, UC Davis, UCLA, Santa Barbara, etc., they started saying that we're only going to take GPA in order to get into university, so students grades in high school. And we're going to waiver this test, but it's still a great test for athletes to do, or students to do, because it can get you huge academic scholarships if you do it quite well. The SAT is governed by a company called College Board. So if you go online, you type in College Board, and you go international testing dates, you'll see that the test is done every 2 months, and there'll be testing venues here in the Gold Coast. You can rock it up, it's a 3-hour exam, it's 1,600 marks, there's 2 different sections, mathematics and then reading and comprehension. And once you complete your test, your results get sent away to the College Board system, and then 3 weeks later, you'll get an email with what score you got. The test will cost around $68 plus a booking fee, so you're looking at about 110 Aussie per test. You can do the test as many times as you want, and even if you do the test and you get a result that you don't want, the American universities can't see your result unless you send it to them. So I get my athletes to do the test in grade 11 in school because they get the results back. And so the last test was on March 11th. All my athletes have got their results back, and we've looked at where the athletes went wrong. We're using the teachable tools to improve on it, and then they've got to go and do another test as well. If you get like 1,300 out of 1,600 in the SAT, you're knocking on the door of academic scholarships. Let's say you did get 1,300 in the SAT on your first go, and you're thinking that you can get a better score, so then you reset the test 2 months later, and you get 1,200 out of 1,600, you actually get a worse score. You can take that first test result and use that with your college application. So it's definitely a good thing to invest in, invest your time in, because what, $100 for the SAT and a few hours of study could earn you up to $10,000 to $20,000 annually in academic scholarship. So definitely worth looking at. Now, knowing about the SAT and also knowing about the GPA, let's walk through the academic requirements. So the NCAA make all their money through ticket sales, advertising, athletes can't get paid to compete, they're all amateur athletes and so on, right? So they make all this money, all this revenue, and then they give it out to coaches to then spend on scholarships to recruit athletes. So let's say you get a scholarship offer from university. When you get that scholarship money, it actually belongs to the NCAA, it doesn't belong to the university. So the NCAA said, right, we're going to put academic requirements in place, because there's no point us giving a scholarship to a student that's just going to come in and fail university right away. We want to gauge what kind of student they are in high school before they arrive to college in the States. So there's 4 requirements that you've got to do. Pass the SAT, I'll put optional because currently you don't have to do the SAT in order to be eligible with the NCAA. If you were talking to me 3 years ago, it would have been completely compulsory. Then you've got to graduate from high school, so passing year 12, making sure you complete that. If you want to go to a Division I school in the States, you need a 2.3 out of 4 GPA. Just about 50% pass rate. It's quite straightforward. The one that catches people out is the next slide. Now, I apologize if the writing is too small and you can't see it, but I'll walk you guys through it. So, if you want to go to the NCAA Division I university like UCLA, if you don't meet these subjects here, no matter how good you are, you can't go to a Division I college. So you've got to complete 4 years of English, which is grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. So if you didn't do English in grade 12, you can't go to the NCAA Division I system. Then you've got to do 3 years of maths, which is grade 9, grade 10, grade 11. Then you've got to do 2 years of social sciences, which is grade 9 and grade 10. A social science paper is social studies, history, geo, classics, economics, accounting is not included in the social science. 2 years of natural sciences, that's physics, chem, bio, general science papers. Health sciences and physical education are not classed as a core subject in this category. one additional year of an English paper or a math paper or a science paper. So in order to eliminate this category, if you did 4 years of mathematics, that would complete that requirement. And then 4 more core subjects from any of these ones, or language is a core subject, comparative religion is a core subject. Things that are not core subjects are like graphics, computer design, home economics, woodwork, metalwork, PE, accounting. Those are not core subjects. Again, if you go on Google tonight and you type in NCAA core subjects, there'll be a massive list of them that are there. And they are very picky. I've had many battles with the NCAA for my athletes over the last 8 years, and they are very hard to deal with. So make sure that you set the subjects up quite nicely. The academic requirements for the NAIA system, that smallest association looks after 250 colleges, is a bit different. So they've just got graduate high school 2.0 GPA up for pass the SAT. I should have had the brackets here optional because it is optional. Biggest difference, if you want to go to the States and let's say you don't need those 16 core subjects, but you want to go to a 4-year university, this might be a pathway for you because there's no 16 core subject requirements here. You just go to graduate school, make sure that you get a 2.0 out of 4 GPA and you're good to go. The junior college system is again even more simplified. You just go to graduate high school, there's no core subjects, there's no like specific GPA that you need to hit in order to go there. You just need to graduate high school. Now if you go online, it's not related to this slide, but if you go online and you see there's a test called TOEFL. TOEFL is just an English speaking test, you guys obviously don't need to do it, so don't even worry about that. How scholarship money is generated, as mentioned, advertising, amateur athletes, broadcasting, ticket sales. So if you've got ESPN tonight, you'll probably see highlights for March Madness basketball tournament. Those athletes can't get paid to compete, so all that money goes into the pockets of the NCAA. I know people personally that have camped outside a basketball stadium for the Duke versus UNC game for 4 days just to buy tickets, and the ticket would have been about $4 grand a seat. So this is the games like Barack Obama, Jay-Z, all these guys are going to. So that's how they make their money. It's pretty outrageous. Scholarship allocation. So again, apologies if the writing is a bit small, but this is how coaches get to allocate scholarship annually. So a full scholarship means it is tuition, accommodation, food, and all your soccer expenses. That is what a full scholarship is. That's one full scholarship. A men's soccer coach at Division 1 gets 9.9 scholarships annually he's allowed to allocate. She's allowed to allocate. So what happens is a roster might have between 20 to 30 people. And so a coach will look at some film, they'll talk to me, they'll talk to a coach, and then they'll make a decision after interviewing the athlete how much of their 9.9 scholarships they get, how much are they going to give that out. Are they going to go full scholarship to you, 70% scholarship to you, 30% to you, based on their needs and what they're looking for. The girls' Division 1 coach gets 14 scholarships per roster, so they get more scholarships. And a roster might have 20 to 30 people. So girls have got a bigger chance of securing a full scholarship than a guy does. The reason why girls get more than guys is because when the NCAA gives the money to the university, half goes to the men's coaches and half goes to the women's coaches. But there's no women's ice hockey, there's no women's American football. So there's more money left on the girls' side. So even in other sports, like for example, tennis, a men's tennis coach gets 4.5, a women's tennis coach gets 8, they get double the amount of money. So most of our girls are on full scholarships, but for the guys, they're on a lot of partial scholarships. So that's when they're going to start working really hard in the classroom to get some academic scholarships and put that together to keep costs down. Division 2 colleges different, so Division 2 colleges got one less scholarship, 9 on the men's side, 9.9 on the girls' side. I mean, it's crazy to know that a Division 2 school on the girls' side is the same budget as a Division 1 men's budget. It's just, yeah, there's a big debate about that right now. What they're saying that they should do is distribute the American football and then split the money. Because there's guys in other sports that just get at a bit of a disadvantage there. Division 3 colleges get 0 scholarships, as mentioned, no sports scholarships in Division 3. NAIA gets 12, so people say, Amrit, if NAIA is a smaller sporting association, how do they get more? Well, NAIA usually carry 2 soccer teams, whereas NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3 carry 1 team, so those 12 scholarships are diluted. Same with the junior college system as well. The roster at an NAIA school and a junior college school might have 30 to 50, whereas at Division 1, 2, and 3 it might be 20 to 25. So it really depends. So again, full scholarship covers tuition, accommodation, sports-related costs, and meal plans. So here are some frequently asked questions. We've probably got like another 5 minutes off these slides. How do I earn an academic scholarship? Get a 3.7 GPA or higher, you're going to be getting some form of academic scholarship. Every university is different in how they allocate academic scholarships. If you get above a 1300 SAT, you're usually in the market of getting an academic scholarship. Now, what's something that you guys should know is that there's two different costs in America. There's in-state and out-of-state. In-state means if you are from North Carolina and you go to school in North Carolina, you pay in-state costs, which is local cheap fees, like domestic fees. If you are from outside of that state, like Arizona, and you go to North Carolina, you pay out-of-state because you're outside of that state. We pay out-of-state because we're international, which is much more expensive. We're talking, it could be 30 grand without a scholarship for in-state, and it could be 55 grand for out-of-state. Now, if you do well academically, like get a 3.7 GPA and a 1300 SAT, you might have the ability to convert from out-of-state to in-state as a student. The status might change. So right now we're negotiating a deal at Florida State, which is a Division I school in the US, for one of our big volleyball athletes. And the coach called me the other day and said, if any of your athletes get above a 1340 on the SAT out of 1600, we can change them from out-of-state to in-state, which is massive. The cost goes down from 35 to 20k, and at 20k as the base rate, then we can apply volleyball scholarship, and that's so attractive for us because we can save some money. So making sure that you keep that in mind, that it's not just academic scholarships that you can earn, but you can get academic benefits like paying a lot less to go to colleges, like getting an in-state waiver. Now, here's a secret for you that I'll share with you guys. There's a college in America called College of Charleston. It's a Division I school, beautiful campus. Because you're on the Gold Coast, you guys get in-state tuition. I found that out last week, so I thought I'd share that with you guys. It's a few weird kind of rules that some universities in the state. For our New Zealanders, they don't get anything like that. What may not be covered in a full scholarship? So your flights to and from America, textbooks, so we negotiate that into the deal, but that's something that you might want to talk to the coach about. Medical insurance, so medical insurance, if that's not covered, there's a number of companies like Geo Blue and all that sort of stuff online. We can suggest some companies for you guys, but sometimes you might have to pay like $400 to get full cover athletically while you're competing at that university, etc. But in general, spending money, like if you want to go to the movies or buy a Nike hoodie up the road or go take the bowling, obviously you're going to have to pay that unless it's team bonding related. What happens if you don't earn a full scholarship? I mean, of course, you can earn an academic scholarship to cut those costs down. And also, there's like other scholarships on campus, like leadership scholarships that you can apply for. We've got a lacrosse athlete going to a Division II school. He just had to do a 15-minute interview with the admissions department, and he's getting like $8,000 as well. So he's getting leadership scholarship, lacrosse scholarship, and academic scholarship to keep his costs down. So look into that. You get part-time work on campus, or while you're on an F1 visa, which is what you'll be on, 4-year multiple entry visa, unless you go to a junior college, it'll be 2 years. You can work up to 15 hours a week on campus without it affecting your visa. You can earn more scholarships in second year. So if you're on a 70% scholarship in year 1, and you play really well, the coach might give you 80% or 85% in year 2. Or maybe, let's say, if you don't earn more money in year 2 and you want to save some money, so let's say the school costs 40 grand in year 1, and the coach gives you $30,000, so you have to pay $10,000 for the first academic year in America, which is 10 months. And let's say he doesn't have any money because seniors aren't graduating, maybe you didn't perform to the level that you need to perform at, and one rule is that coaches can't take scholarship off you based on performance, so they'll keep it the same or they'll increase it. Those are two options. So let's say he keeps it the same. Second year, if you move off campus from private dorm rooms or apartments with some top players in the team, the cost might be $35,000. So now you're paying $5 grand because the cost of living in an apartment is significantly cheaper than living in a private dorm room on campus. So that cost will come down there as well. How many years of scholarship do you get? So you get 4 years of scholarship where you compete for your university. You get an additional year, giving you 5 years in total. Called a red shirt. A red shirt is a year where you keep the scholarship when they're not competing. It may be used for medical time out. So if we had a girl recently that did her ACL, she played year 1, did her ACL in year 2. So year 2 she got on the red shirt, kept their scholarship, kept studying, financed all of her education, and then year 3 she'll start her second year of eligibility, and her medical insurance paid for her surgery, recovery, doctors, MRIs and everything, so they should have taken care of. So you get 5 years of scholarship. This is the way the NCAA, the NAIA system, and the junior college system protect athletes, as opposed to you getting injured and a coach is cutting it. So it's there for you, and some coaches use it for academic reasons. Now, every 3 to 4 weeks, your grades are going to get sent to the coach. And so they're going to go through all of your reports, make sure that you can go to classes, keep your grades up to scratch, but more importantly, making sure you're just staying on track to graduate. And let's say your grades are falling down, you're not going to class, your GPA is dropping below a 2.0, you're failing school. The coach might put you on an academic redshirt the following year where you train with the team, but you won't go to compete for the university, but you won't lose any years of competing eligibility. So it can be used for academic timeouts. Can your sport contract be terminated? 100% it can be if you become ineligible. So if you go to a D1 program in the NCAA and your GPA drops to a 2.1 out of 4, you'll be ineligible to compete the following year. If you do anything regarding misconduct or put the team for personal reasons, 100%. If you break school policy, like failing drug test, drinking under the age of 21, or sign a pro contract, then definitely you will be ineligible. Another rule that you guys need to know about is, I'll discuss it at the end. I might confuse it. Can you transfer? So yes, you can transfer. You can go from D1 to another D1. You can go from a Division 2 school to a Division 1 school. You can go from D3 to D1. You can go NAIA to the NCAA. You can go from junior college to whether it's the NCAA or the NAIA. There are different rules that you need to know about. So you can't transfer more than 3 times without penalties putting against you. A penalty might be you having to sit out a season and not being able to compete for the university, and they put these things in place to stop everyone jumping around all the time. But transferring is very, very common. There was about 500 athletes in Division 1 that transferred last year from Division 1 to Division 1. And look, we've had athletes that have gone to a Division 2 school, performed really well. A case study I can share with you is we've got a guy called Dylan Wood. He actually used to work for me. Dylan Wood, we placed him back in 2016. He was a great left back. Placed him at Metro State University in Denver, Colorado, and after 2 years at his Division 2 school, he absolutely killed it. He did amazing. He was getting conference honours, academic honours, as captain of the team. So we took that video footage off him that he did in 2 years, put a highlight reel together, sent it out back to the market in the Division 1 system. His final 2 years went to UC Davis, which is a Division 1 school in California, and that's where he graduated from. So you can definitely transfer. It is very common. And look, like, some recruitment agencies might say, you know, we're going to go to a 4-year school, it's going to be the best time of your life. That's not necessarily true. Things can change out of your control. You might sign a deal purely because you like the coach. Then that coach might leave and a new coach might come in. And you might not like that coach, and it happens often. So keep in mind that transfer could be an option if you do go to the States. Mentally prepare for it, so there's no surprises, etc. Another case study is we had a girl called Liz Crow, great striker from New Zealand. Went to a Division 2 school with Fairmont State in West Virginia, played there for 2 years. After 2 years, she's like, Amrit, I'm not liking it here. My coach got fired because we weren't winning. A new coach came in, don't like this new coach at all, not vibing with them, can you help me? And we transferred her to another Division 2 school in North Carolina, and she absolutely loves it there. So keep that in mind, that transfer can happen. So the college year starts in August to December. That is the business season for college soccer in the US. So Division 1 have got their own championship, Division 2 have got their own championship, Division 3 do, NAIA and Junior College have all got their own championship. Division 1 have got conferences, so they've got groups of schools that are like between 8 to 11 colleges. In one conference, they've got the Pac-12, Big Ten, the SEC, the Big South Conference, which is some southern schools in the US, the Northeast, and so on, right? The aim of college soccer is you play everyone in your conference in the season between August to maybe about September, October, and then at the end of it, based on your win-loss draw ratio, you get points, and then you get seeded for the conference tournament. If you win the conference tournament, you play the winners of all the other conferences in your division, and then you fight for a championship. It's all over ESPN, and if you win it, you get that big ring that you can see from space. It's absolutely massive. And you get all these prompts, there'll be parades about you and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty much how college soccer works. The off-season is January to May, so that's where athletes, this kind of works well with soccer athletes' favours because that's where you do your final exams and your big assessments. So right now is the off-season, you'll be training with the team. Now, We had a situation recently that I've been working my butt off to get an athlete out of. And pretty much what he did is, he didn't tell me, but he decided to come home to New Zealand and sign with the club and do online schooling in the off-season between January to May. That's a violation of an NCAA rule. You can't do that. So you can't play for another team or another club here in Australia while this calendar year is going on. However, between the month of May and the month of August, which is 2.5 months, you can play for whoever you want. You can go to the States and play for a summer league team if you want. Your visa will allow you to do that. Or you can come back home and you can earn some money, stay obviously with family and play here. But you can't play for another team in the season unless you're representing your country. That's the only rule. So we had like 5 girls playing the the Under 20 World Cup recently. Last year, that was totally legal, totally legit, but you can't play for another team. Okay. So that was a lot of information. If you want my contact information, you can scan that QR code and have my number. We do free consultations where we look at your grades and your video footage and kind of tell you what kind of deal you're most likely going to get, whether you would go D1, D2, D3, NAIA, junior college based on what you want to do. If that's something you're interested in, you can scan that. Also on that Instagram page, which is Platform Sports Management, what's really important for us, our mission is to be the most transparent recruitment agency. So, the college system isn't all sunshine and rainbows, it is tough. We do lots of podcasts and interview parents that have put their athletes or their children into the American college system. We've interviewed college coaches from the US, so we've interviewed like Akron, Kentucky, Portland, Denver, etc. We talked about their program, what they look for in recruits, so you can hear straight from the horse's mouth. And I've also interviewed athletes that have gone over there. I mentioned Hannah Blake before, that is currently playing professionally in Perth. We interviewed her when she was at University of Michigan, and she talked about her experience with facilities and stuff like that. That's just there for you guys. I also give a lot of advice to athletes daily about academics, about visa information as well. So definitely check out our Instagram page, I reckon you guys will be able to get a lot of free information from there as well. But yeah, appreciate the Magic United Club for having us, really do. And that's hopefully that recorded properly. Thanks to the ladies doing that. Yeah, cheers. Any questions? No. Cool. Awesome. That's right. And I'll email this presentation out to the ones that signed up, and I'll also send it to the club, and I'll send it out on the database as well. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Well done, mate. Thank you. Does the scan thing work?